so this is serious. I'm sure that you have heard. Alex Murdaugh was found guilty yesterday of killing his wife and youngest son. The jury took less than 3 hours to deliberate and reach its verdict. Here was Alex's reaction.
In the term of 2022, July, the state versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant, indictment for murder, guilty, verdict. Signed by the forelady, 3/2/23.
Alex's remaining son, Buster, was in the courtroom when the verdict was read. He wiped his face and looked blankly ahead. This morning, Alex was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences for the crime without the possibility of parole. Now, Alex Murdaugh was the patriarch of a 3-generation legal dynasty in South Carolina. And this case has gotten a ton of attention with multiple docuseries, TV shows, and live coverage of the trial. Jeff, what did you think about this decision? I know you've watched the series and the trial.
Yeah, I got caught up on Netflix. My wife watched it on was it Dateline?
Dateline's had it since 2019. They've been doing the Murdaughs.
Right, and she's from the Carolina, so she was all on top of this. But I think that was the right decision in my mind, and the jury obviously too. They came to such a quick conclusion of it. But I mean, just to even fathom that, me and my wife were talking, like, to even wrap your head around that, it's like, what? I don't understand. I don't understand. I want to know what's in their mind.
He's a monster. He's like a psycho monster.
This might seem like a weird reach, but I got like almost like R. Kelly vibes in terms of like the documentary kind of like drumming up public support for a trial. I think there were a lot more eyes on this trial than would have normally been, and I think that probably did maybe influence the way the legal system there that had been in place while they ran rampant. I think that might have changed a lot of things. Now they know literally the whole world and every podcast is going to be hanging on your actions. So I think public eyeballs changed a lot in this case.
Absolutely.
It felt so good to me. Because watching that series, I was so disgusted and angry to see how they took advantage of the legal system and individuals for so many years, and who knows how many generations. I mean, I don't know what
3 generations.
Right, but I don't know what criminal
of corruption.
Corruption. I don't know. That's just me.
Their grandfather's picture was in that courtroom that he got sentenced, and they had to take it off the wall for the trial.
I am so glad that justice was finally served to the right person.
Wow.
Okay, so to talk more about this guilty verdict, we are joined by former prosecutor and defense attorney Mari Henderson. Mari, welcome.
Hey, Mari.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, Mari, so there wasn't a lot of physical evidence in this case, and it seemed like most of it came down to, okay, so this cell phone video that proved Alex was at the crime or the scene of the crime, and even though he lied and told the police that he wasn't. So do you think the jury made the right decision in this case?
I do think the jury made the right decision, despite the fact that there was no direct evidence. That means no eyewitnesses, there was no DNA evidence. But that video placing Alex Murdaugh at the scene of the crime, just minutes before the crime, that was, you know, the nail in his coffin.
So, Mari, we're hearing from one of the jurors about the trial and how quickly they reached their decision. I talked about it earlier. Here, I'm going to show you a little clip of what he told ABC News.
About 45 minutes later, after all our deliberating, we figured it out.
So it took basically 45 minutes for you guys to come to a decision?
Probably about 45, maybe an hour.
That's really fast.
Yeah, the evidence was clear.
Yeah.
So, Mari, my question for you is it unusual for a jury to reach a decision that quickly?
When a jury reaches a decision that quickly, it always means it's a guilty verdict. So it was not necessarily unusual. What was unusual to me is the fact that the very first poll was not unanimously guilty. There was actually 2 for not guilty and 1 for unsure. So the fact that they were able to sway those 3 jurors in just 45 minutes, that was surprising.
Well, I'm wondering what led to that quick decision by them, and it must be said that Alex testified in his own defense during the trial, and the juror we just heard from also spoke about his reaction to that testimony. So let's take a look.
What did you think when Alex Murdaugh took the stand?
I didn't think much of him.
Really?
Really. I didn't see any true remorse.
Even though he cried a lot on the stand.
He never cried.
So I have to ask you, Mari, do you think Alex's decision to testify was the wrong move and ultimately sealed his fate and led to that 3-hour decision?
Definitely. It was the single biggest mistake in that trial was to put him on the stand, and that was against the advice of his own attorneys. He decided to do that, and you never do that unless it's a self-defense case.
It's just a narcissist. He's a lawyer thinking he can outsmart everybody again, right, in the courtroom. Hi, Mari. It's so good to hear from you. I also wanted to say that was a Snapchat video that Paul took right before he was murdered and got his dad at the kennels. If he had not taken that Snapchat, he solved his own murder. That's how incredible that is. I've been following this really closely. There's some body cam footage from that son's 2019 boating accident where the kids in the boat say, in essence, he's a Murdaugh. He's never going to go to jail. They are the law. What did that play in terms of, in this trial, the Murdaugh name?
The Murdaugh name, to me, the most important part is the boating accident and the financial ruin, the timing in relation to the murders. Because the day he killed his family was the day that the firm was first finding out that he had stolen hundreds of thousands of dollars, and now it's in the millions. And 3 days after the murders, he was due in court with his son regarding the boating accident. And so he wanted to change the narrative. It gives all the motive you need.
Wow. I'm so glad justice was served.
Heck yeah.
I really am. Now, Mari, let me ask you this, because the defense tried to get the judge to declare a mistrial, which he did not. And Alex will likely appeal his conviction. What are his chances of overturning the conviction?
I think his chances are slim to none at this point. The judge was very measured in his rulings and followed the rules of evidence. And it was interesting for me to see the judge for the first time share his opinion yesterday immediately after the guilty verdict. He basically said he found him not credible and he was a liar, and he made those same statements again today when he sentenced him.
So, Mari, I'm curious. Alex is still facing nearly 100 counts of various forms of financial fraud. He admitted it on the stand to stealing millions from his clients, his friends, the law firm. What's going to happen now with those trials moving forward?
I mean, those trials will still move forward. It's kind of similar to Tom Girardi. He has Alzheimer's and dementia, but those trials are going to move forward. Whether or not any of these families will unfortunately see a dime is to be determined.
Can I just really quick, how does he pay his legal defense? How does he do that? He's got no money. What are we doing here? Is it a public defender that's going to take the appeal? You know what I mean?
I mean, we'll see what his family does and whether they stick by his side and continue to pay his legal bills. And we'll see whether any member of his family, including Alex himself, writes a book or tries to unfortunately profit off of this.
And his son, too, Buster. Like, he's got no dad, no mom, no brother. I know he's got some, if you watch a Netflix series, his own scandal, but it's like, wow, you know, and now no money,
Tragedy.
it seems like.
Yeah. All right. Well, Mari, we really appreciate you clarifying and providing all that information. Thank you for joining us.